everyone. This is Kim, the Humble Hermit from Come As You Are Oracle. I'm going to do the collective tarot for today. Today is Thursday, July 31st, 2025. You may follow me on the Talk, the Tube, my blog, or not. Totally up to you. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. If it doesn't fit, don't make it fit. If some of it fits, God's kiss. We love that for you. Whatever does not, just leave it on the table for someone else. We don't want you taking on energy that wasn't meant for you, okay? We're going to use Intuitive City Oracle by Rob Barthelman. You can find his decks at intuitiveintention.com, My Intuitive Intention on Etsy, and he also sells his decks in the TikTok shop. I'm uploading the collective for the day, the Oracle, and I stopped in the middle of it for like 3 minutes to talk to the cats outside, so forgive me. Y'all forgive me. I got a cat problem. We got 2 on the table. Three on the table, 4 on the table. Interesting. 5 on the table, 6 on the table. Oh, that is... literally came up sideways. Let's do 2 more shuffles. So we've got 6 on the table. We've got 1 major. It came out sideways. We're going to do 2 more shuffles. Last shuffle. Oh, we got 8 cards on the table, 2 majors. We got 9 with bottom of the deck, 2 majors. One of those majors is sideways. We're going to talk about it. Yeah, there we go. I like to set my cards out the way they fall out, but I like them to look a certain way. And I like them to look a certain way differently each time. That's interesting. Top of the deck is Justice, Ace of Pentacles, and the World. And I know this is gonna sound weird because I would technically say this of every person, every human on this planet. I'm not gonna lie, because I just have that heart and I have that mindset that every single human on this planet has the potential to do whatever the hell they want to do. Whether something falls into their lap or they have to work really hard for it. You always have the potential to accomplish what you want to accomplish. With this Justice card, this Ace of Pentacles, this World card, whoever this person is, the potential has always been there. So it's not like this would be like God just, you know, I wouldn't personally say God gives people stuff for nothing anyway. Like God, I personally believe God rewards you when you put in the effort. as a human, right? Whoever this person is, they're going to receive some type of justice that is well deserved. And that justice is, I know this is going to sound a little like crazy, but it's basically like whatever they want. And I don't mean like somebody can like literally ask God for anything they want like every day, all day. I just mean like somebody's justice for living the life that they've led is like if they decide they want to manifest for like, and I'm just gonna say something stupid and random, like a mansion and a jet. God is gonna make sure this person gets their mansion and their jet. One way or another, they're gonna get it. And it's really, when I look at these three cards, it really just boils down to the fact, like I just said, like somebody lived the life that they led and they continue to expand on that. They continue to grow as a human, spiritually, mentally, psychologically, physically, sexually, emotional, like everything. Like whoever this person is, they're a very, even if you wouldn't necessarily always consider them well balanced, it's somebody that strives for that. It's somebody, whoever this person is, like they're constantly working on themselves. And it's like God recognizing that potential, because whoever this is, like even in their worst moments, the worst things that could have ever happened to them in their life, like whoever this person is, like they still were for other people. They were still helping, they were still caring, they were still loving, they were still giving, they were still working for the rest of humanity, even while they might have been stabbed in the back, abused, used, right? Okie dokie. On to the reading. 9 cards. With bottom of the deck, we've got Page of Cups. We got the Page of Pentacles. We've got the Two of Wands. We've got the Four of Pentacles. The Eight of Wands. We did get the Magician sideways. We're going to talk about it. We have the Emperor in the upright. You can change that to an Empress. You guys know that. It doesn't really matter. It just comes off as energy. We've got the Three of Cups. And we've got bottom of the deck, King of Wands. Again, feminine, masculine, you take how it resonates for you. I'm going to read it as the Emperor card because that's what came out. And it's just easy for me. And again, I would like to remind you that everybody has everything. Like, I'm a feminine, but I have masculine energy. I actually technically have a lot of masculine energy. Well, I was talking with some people at work today, and we were goofing around, joking around. There was 4 of us, and they're all a little bit younger than me. Pretty much, well, I would say half of our department is like younger, and half of our department is like my age or older. But I was joking around with these 3 guys. Well, 2 guys and a chick, right? Yeah, I said it like that. They're my work friends, and one of the guys showed me a picture because we were looking at like screensavers on our phones, because we were talking about another employee, but that's a whole other thing, and that was related to me. Yeah. So the one guy shows the picture of his screensaver, and it's his lady, you know, his significant other, and she's like leaning up against a car or something, and she was She was gorgeous. Gorgeous young lady. And I said to him, I said, oh, I said, that's your lady? And he goes, yeah. And I said, I said, you better watch it. I said, you know, I'm bisexual. I like the ladies. And he just turns to me and he goes, kiss me. And we were all laughing and joking around. And then the one of the guys, he's a deaf guy, and he's a sweetheart. And it's kind of funny because when he first started working in our department, when he first came to Medline, like, I did not gravitate towards him at all. And it's not that I didn't like him or anything like that. I just didn't, like, I didn't, like, see the connection there. Like, I didn't really, you know. And him and I started talking, you know, but writing each other, I guess you would say, because I don't know sign language. Although I would love to learn. I don't know that I could learn. I feel like I'm too old, but I would try. We probably started communicating like maybe like fall, winter of last year, somewhere around there. He had already been with our department like probably like a year and a half maybe. Because we actually originally had 2 deaf guys and they both started almost around the same time. And the one got let go for various reasons. But this gentleman, like, him and I started communicating, and I really like him a lot. Like, I consider him a friend. He's one of my favorite people in our department, actually. And he told the other guy, the one that said kiss me, the one with the girlfriend in the screensaver, he's like, oh, her? Yeah, like, I always knew that, like, she was kind of basically saying, like, I was butch. Like, he thought, like he always knew that I gave off, like, that kind of, like, lesbian kind of energy. I was not at all offended. Because, and I've told you guys this, I've always felt, like, when I was younger, I always thought I was supposed to have been born male. Because I always felt like I had such masculine energy. And now as I've gotten older, I've kind of like learned to like balance it out. I think my personality comes off a lot masculine, I'm just going to say. But I very much enjoy my feminine side now as an adult, more so than I did back then. But when he said that, I was not at all offended, and I was laughing my ass off because it's true. Like, I have masculine energy. I don't care. It doesn't bother me. It shouldn't bother anybody. We all have both. It is what it is. Sometimes we tap into that other energy, and sometimes we don't, right? Some people are comfortable with it, some people aren't. But it's there. The potential is there. Whoever this is the Emperor, okay? Whatever this reading is, this is a reading about this Emperor, okay? Whoever this person is, they manifested basically for this Emperor status. This is someone that came off like a very young energy, like a Page energy. I mean, we've got Page of Cups and Page of Pentacles. Like somebody, okay, I heard 2 things. I heard someone in their emotions and someone useless. Okay, I don't really think anybody is useless, but that's what I heard. I guess technically when you're a kid, when you're younger and you don't quite know where you're headed and what direction you're going in life, maybe you would feel useless. Maybe people would look at you like, come on, get your act together, get your life together. You're 25, 27, 30 years old, figure it out. But I would never call anybody useless. Past Kim probably would. I'm not gonna lie. And maybe in a fit of anger, I would call somebody useless, but really mean it. Anywho, this is someone that recently, in the past, was very much focused on material things, material goods. Like I said in the little mini read with the 3 cards from the top of the deck, that like somebody was deserving of something and God was going to make sure they get it. And I use the example of somebody wanting a mansion and somebody wanting a jet, and God would make sure that they get that some form or fashion, right? This is like this Emperor energy in the recent past, in the past, however that resonates. Kind of being like in that mindset. Like, oh, I want to be a millionaire. I want to be famous. I want to have, you know, that big fancy mansion. I want to have a jet. I want to have a limo pick me up every day and take me to the office. I want to have, you know, 10 Rolls Royces, and, you know, I want a starter wife or husband, and then I want to remarry 10 years later to someone younger, you know, like it very much gives off like a materialistic type of vibe, you know, like I want to own every pair of Air Jordans that was ever made, and I'll spend anything to get it kind of attitude. That was just an example. I don't even know how many types of Air Jordans there have been, and I don't even want to guess. And again, it gives off page energy, because when you're like, when you have that younger mindset, you know, and I think we can all, I think most humans can say, most people can say, like, I've been there, you know, like, I remember being a little girl, and my mom used to draw up like floor plans of homes. Very basic, okay? But she would like use a roller and a pencil, and she would draw up all these floor plans, and I started doing the same thing. But the funny thing is these floor plans that I was drawing, and I'm assuming she did too, they were like at the time what I thought like I would want my house to look like, and they were always like big, like lavish homes with like, you know, 4 bathrooms and like 6 bedrooms and like a kitchen upstairs and a kitchen with a bar in the basement. You know, like it was always kind of that mentality is more is never enough. More is never enough. Have I ever heard that anywhere before, or did I just make that up? More is never enough. Okay, I'm gonna write that down, because I might put that in the title. Let me write that down. You know, when I was a little kid, you know, I always wanted like every Barbie there was. I used to collect Playmobil, like build doll houses, and I was always like, oh, one day I'm gonna be a billionaire, and I'm gonna buy like every set that was ever made. You know, like Legos. I used to collect Lego, and I used to collect Lego, and I always thought like, oh, I'm gonna go back and buy those sets that came out like 20 years ago that are now like $10,000 a piece. Like, I'm gonna go back and buy those because I'll have the money. Just kind of like that young energy of you know, if I have the money, if I have the means, I'm gonna be pimping. Like I'm gonna be living the dream, living the life, right? But, and I don't know about you guys, but like as I've gotten older, I've realized like if I were to come into money, if I were to make money, if I were to be a millionaire, a billionaire, a lot of that money would go to charity. A lot of that money would be given away to to causes that I deem worthy, causes that I would enjoy to support. Like money for animals, money for cancer research, money for kids in need, money for LGBTQ communities and aid and things like that. Things that are like near and dear to my heart. RAIN, the Rape and Incest Organization. I donate to them every month now as it is. But if I were to come into money, I would give them $1 million, Like, I wouldn't even think twice. Same thing with animals, same thing with the kids. I've told you guys before, like, my dream, like in my 20s, 30s, was always that I was going to buy a big piece of land and build a pretty decent house and a couple of barns and just take in all the animals that nobody wants. Cats, dogs, have a couple horses, have a couple goats. Maybe even have my own chicken coop and a cow, Maybe start my own vegetable garden. Maybe foster a couple kids and put a couple kids through college. Like, my dream has always been to be able to help others. I mean, I do what I can now with what I have, right? But if I had more, I would give more. And I mean, think about it. There are so many millionaires, billionaires out there. They do give a lot. They do give a lot of money. They do a lot of things for charity. And that's good. They should. They should. It's always sad to me, like, when you see, like, people come into family money, like, their family passes away and, they get $3 million and then they squander it. They go on vacation every month. They quit their job. They don't pay off anything. They just spend $3 million. And then, a few years later, they're like, what happened to my money? Now you got to go back to work, get a regular job. You still owe on your house. You have no $3 million. You didn't do anything good with it for the community. You just squandered it on materialistic shit. I feel like as I've gotten older, like, I've realized, like, and I think I said this to you guys like a couple weeks ago, like, I would probably just pay off my condo and live here, maybe buy a house by the lake like I always wanted. I'd probably keep my job for a little bit and then eventually quit and do this full time for fun and write books and publish books. And, like, if I had enough money to buy a piece of land and start an organization to save animals, I would. If I had money to donate, I would, Like, I always have all these thoughts and ideas of how to put out that positive energy. Hold on a second. I just want to close it. To put that positive energy out there into the world, to give something back. And like I said, I give back now, but I would love to give back on a much higher scale. I would totally do that. But, like, whoever this emperor is, in these first 4 cards, well, I should say the Page of Cups, the Page of Pentacles, and the 4 of Pentacles. Like, it's somebody not quite there. Somebody that still thinks, live moment to moment, free spirit, spend all my money, drink it away, party away, like that kind of energy. I mean, that's okay for a while, right? We all do that kind of thing, 20s, 30s. And then one day you kind of wake up and you just kind of realize, like, I don't really want to live that kind of life, I need a little more peace, a little more stability, a little more reliability, even if that just comes from within, Like, I need to figure out how to create that for myself. And, eventually we grow up. Peter Pan grows up, right? And we realize, like, this ain't it. Whoever this emperor is, this is someone with the 2 of Wands, the 8 of Wands, the Magician sideways, okay? Like they're manifesting for more like emperor status, because whoever this emperor is, they weren't always an emperor, okay? Like someone very much materialistic like that. This Page of Cups, this Page of Pentacles. And don't get me wrong, the Page of Pentacles, like Rob Barthelman put on their ambition, right? And I always go off of that for the most part. Like there's nothing wrong with, you know, wanting more and having ambition. And there's nothing wrong with wanting material goods, right? But it's all about like knowing when to stop and knowing like how much you really need. And need versus want, right? Like I want 200 pairs of Air Jordans, but do I need them? Right? Right. I don't know why I keep using Air Jordans. Does somebody out there collect Air Jordans? Because that's not a, like, don't get me wrong, I love shoes and I love, you know, girly shoes and gym shoes and Converse, and but Air Jordans have never been my thing. Is that somebody's thing out there? Tell me. Tell me. That is not at all the usual energy I would tap into. This emperor is manifesting for this emperor status to be a little more elevated, to be a little more discerning, okay? To be a little less materialistic, to kind of get out of that young energy, that young blood energy. The reason why I feel like the reason why this fell out in the sideways, okay? Like this person is manifesting for this emperor status, but the reversal of the Magician is trickery, okay? That's the reversal. Whoever is watching this emperor, whoever is like knows this emperor, whoever may have been in contact with this emperor in the past and there's some type of revisit, it really gives the energy of people not necessarily believing that this emperor is genuine. It kind of gives off the energy of like people looking at this emperor and being like, oh, you're just saying you're going to change because, you know, you want like God's favor or you want better karma. So you're just going to be like, oh, I'm going to do this. And then at the last minute, like fake God out and not do something, right? And still get that good karma. It's not really how it works, but it's kind of like people looking at this emperor like that. Like not really believing that they have good intentions. I mean, don't get me wrong, like I think we're all human, right? We all make like snap judgments. We all look at other people and we're kind of like, you know, like giving them the side eye. The thing is nobody's really gonna know if this emperor is genuine, or nobody's really gonna know if they're genuine. The emperor's gonna know. God's gonna know, right? Like I wouldn't necessarily know. I could possibly get an intuitive nudge, you know, a little psychic something or other, and a feeling, right? But I wouldn't really know for sure. The only two beings that would know would be this person and God. If you believe, right? I don't want to force God, source on anybody, but I believe in God, so I talk about God a lot. My friend. She FaceTimed me after I was done with the collective read earlier, and we talked for about 15 minutes. I think that was, and I told her, I said, I think that's only the second time I've ever FaceTimed. Because I didn't know how to pick it up. I went to pick it up, and I thought I picked it up, but it didn't pick up, and I was like, what? I thought I was tech savvy. Apparently I was wrong. the thing is whoever this Emperor is, the Three of Cups, the King of Wands, like this is someone that envisions for themselves like a better future, like a more aligned future, a more like in tune with self, in tune with the universe, in tune with humanity. Like it really gives off that this Emperor is not faking it till they make it, right? Like this is someone genuine. This is someone that manifested for a change. They manifested for some growth, and they're gonna get it. They're gonna get it. And in actuality, with the Three of Cups too, I'm seeing like even though this person might receive that judgment, you know, some people might look at them and be like, oh, they're faking it. Like they're not changing, they're not growing, they're not healing. Most of the people that watch this Emperor, you know, friends, family, lovers, whatever, they will believe. Like they will see this person change right before their eyes, and they will believe it. Most people will. It's not gonna be lost on anyone. Like most people are gonna see this Emperor change and be happy for them. Be excited. Sorry, I just wanna yeah, most people are gonna watch this Emperor rise, and they're gonna be happy for them. They're gonna congratulate them. I think where it might come into play, where people might look at them and be like, oh, they're totally fake. Like that's not happening. It just might be more like, yeah, it could be like haters, right? But it also could be like, and I'm just gonna give this as an example because it's easy for me. And it's my life, right? And I tell you guys everything about me. I always tell the truth. I'm honest. There's transparency here. And if anybody ever has anything to say, feel free in the comments. I'm never gonna like. This would be like let's say. Let's use the ex-best friend. If you subscribe, if you follow, if you listen to my story, you know who the ex-best friend is to me. Let's say I hear from someone else, right, that she went through therapy, she got help, she continues to go to therapy, she's on medication to regulate whatever she's got going on mentally. We'll say, like, you know, she started going to church, she started donating her time for the community. You know, like it would be like me finding out all of a sudden like she is healing herself, right? Which I've said for like the last year, like I want that for her. I want her to heal herself and grow and change, you know, for the better. But this would be like me hearing about it and at first being like, oh, no, she can't. That wouldn't happen. She can't do that. Like, that's not possible for her. You know, it would be kind of like that hater energy, that kind of like naysayer energy, because I would be thinking about what she did in the past, not just to me, but to others. And I would be thinking, oh, well, you can't change that. You can't grow from that. You can't heal that. But that's not necessarily true, right? That's not necessarily true. Sometimes it just takes people longer to figure out that they have problems and they need to heal from them. And sometimes it takes people a long time to do the work. Everybody goes at their own pace, right? We've talked about it before. So that's kind of like the trickery energy with the Magician card in reverse, is like, you know, kind of looking at somebody and being like, oh, I don't think they can change. But really you're thinking about them in the past, and you're not thinking about the fact that you changed once. You grew once. You started healing once, right? I mean, we all did. You think I was this perfect little angel my whole life? No. No. Tell me why I'm seeing Forrest Gump, Tom Hanks and Forrest Gump, but when he was a kid in the movie, played by whoever the kid was, and I think he's like riding his bike like up the driveway, like they had this, like him and Sally Field was his mom, right? Like they had, and I think they lived in Alabama. Was it Alabama? I can't remember. I haven't watched that movie. That used to be one of my favorite movies. I love the soundtrack to that movie. Like, I used to watch it all the time. But I think he was riding his bicycle, like, up the driveway. Like, it was, like, a really long... And it probably was called a road at that point. It probably wasn't even a driveway. But he, like, rode his bike up the road to the house. And I'm just picturing this kid, like, bicycling, like, really fast, really hard. Like, I gotta get home, I gotta get home. And I think that's kind of like the energy of the Emperor, right? Like, whoever this is, just realizing, like, maybe they spent too much of their life, too much of their time in whatever this page energy is, this materialistic energy, and realizing, like, I'm ready to move on. I'm ready to go towards that next chapter of my life, and I'm going to work my ass off to get there. Hence the pedaling. Pardon me. And I think I'm not really seeing anything else, but I was going to say this earlier and I forgot. Um, Yesterday when I did the readings, I think it might have been the affirmation readings. I can't remember. I don't know if it was the collectives or the affirmations in the morning, but yesterday I had talked about, or maybe it was Tuesday night. Either way, I had talked about how, like, in the spiritual community, in a healing community, we talk about how we don't want things back from the past, right? Like how, like, when we release the past, we should really just release it and let it go and never invite it back. But yesterday or the day before, I was talking about how sometimes, not all the times, right? Not all the time, right? But sometimes you're meant to release things and they're meant to come back around, because what is meant for you will never leave you. So we always talk about, like, no, I don't want the past. I don't want that past person, da 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 da. And that's fine. That is more than fine to have that feeling. You are always allowed to make decisions concerning your own life. If you don't want a past person back, they come swinging back around. Like you, that's totally up to you. That's your right to make that decision. It's your life. But I had made this comment that, you know, there are some people, like, if I literally just ran into them, there are some people that I would, like, look them in the eye and then just turn around and walk away and not, like, literally have nothing to say. And there are other people where I would probably, you know, run into them and I probably just would not be able to contain my smile. Because there are some people from my past that I would love to have back in my life. I would. I'm not going to lie. Do I necessarily feel like I need to put forth that energy to make it happen? No. And again, I'm going to say what is meant for you will never leave you. And I think sometimes we forget, because I said this too, and I just said it, but I said this yesterday or the day before. I think sometimes we forget that, yes, it's fine to say you don't want that past energy because you believe that person or that situation to be exactly where you left them. But I think we forget that people heal. People wake up, they have awakenings, they wake up, they realize they want to heal themselves, they start healing themselves, they start growing spiritually, physically, mentally, emotionally, sexually. They start changing. You know, people sometimes wake up and realize, like, I just don't want to be this person anymore. Like, I want to be different. I want to be someone else. I don't want this energy. I just realized my little sculpture guy is totally facing the wrong way. Probably one of the cats. He's kind of goofy, but he's a cutie pie. I think he's adorable. I got two others kind of goofy looking like him, and I love them. I think they're the cutest thing. People change. You know, we always say, like, oh, they're not going to change, they're not going to change. Maybe 10, 15 years down the road, they do. Everything is in your own timing. You set the pace for your life, right? And as somebody that he started healing themselves and started growing and started changing, who am I to say who's not going to do that and when? So yesterday or the day before, I just felt the need in whatever the reading was. I literally cannot remember. Yeah, you might think it's impossible, but sometimes the impossible does happen. It is always up to you whether or not you want to invite people back into your life. And I would never, as I stated yesterday or the day before, I would never tell somebody, oh yeah, you should take them back even though they abused you. They look like they changed. No, I would never say that. And I have said this about the ex-best friend too for like a year. I hope she heals. I hope she can heal herself and take care of herself and change into the person that I always thought she was. But she can do that where she's at, and she can do that away from me, because I would never accept her back into my life, ever. I can want good for her. I could want her to be a better person, but I don't want her back in my life. I will never, ever invite her back into my life, ever. And I'm gonna say it. There's probably maybe like 3 or 4 people that I would never invite back into my life, and 3 or 4 of those people are involved in that situation. Don't get me wrong, there are people that I used to know through her that I would talk to, that I would see, you know, but there's literally like 3 or 4 people from that situation that I would not have anything to do with, ever. And and if they're watching right now, it's probably not even the people they're thinking of, and it's probably not even them. The only one I can literally guarantee is the ex-best friend. I would never, I just wouldn't. There's no trust there. I have no trust or faith in her whatsoever. That doesn't mean I can't want her, you know, to heal herself and move on, but for me, it would never be there. I would always constantly feel like I'm on pins and needles, and I refuse to live like that. And I'm just saying this because, again, that's the energy that's here. That's the energy that's in this reading. Like this is somebody really wanting to make a positive change for themselves. And with the Three of Cups and the King of Wands, like the energy is there. Like this person has the potential to do this. It's just some people might look at them and believe that they're not capable. And that, I mean, it is what it is. People have their own opinions, right? I think I'm going to leave it there because I can just ramble on about this all day and over and over and over again. So I hope it resonated for you. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope, if anything, you found it entertaining. As I mentioned in the collective video, I was watching one of my favorite tarot readers last week or on the weekend. And when she signed off on her video, it was very similar to the way I sign off. Like, hey, you know, I hope you have a great Thursday or whatever day it is, wherever you are. I'll talk to you later. Like, she kind of had almost the same sign off, and it kind of freaked me out because I don't think she's copying me, but I also don't think I was copying her because I don't remember ever seeing her do that before. And when I saw it the other day, like, it freaked me out. So I'm probably going to be playing around with like my sign-offs when I do videos from now on, and then I might settle on something because I don't ever want to be accused of stealing someone else's stuff, even though I don't believe that's the case. I just don't ever want to be accused of that. So I'm just letting you guys know when I sign off, it might be a little different. It might seem weird. I don't know. Like, I'm probably going to write out some things just, you know, to like try them out in my head and then kind of go from there. So I will talk to y'all